Colin, thank you for having us here today.
No problem.
It's great to have some time with you talking about your life in football. You're now 82 years old, but we're going to spin back over 60 years to you growing up and first getting into football. I think you grew up in Brymbo, sort of near Wrexham.
Yeah.
So how did football come about for you?
Well, it all started when I was in the junior school, really. We had a fabulous teacher who was, there wasn't such a thing as football in the school then, but this teacher we had, his name was Bert Russell, and he played rugby for Wrexham.
Right.
And he was keen on, getting everybody fit, and he started a football team in the junior school. And I got into the team, and it all started there. From junior school, then I went to the technical college in Wrexham, played in their team, played for the Wrexham schoolboys. Never wasn't good enough to get into the Welsh schoolboys.
Right.
But, Wrexham schoolboys, and that was it.
And you made your name later on as a left back, but was that always your position on the pitch?
No. When I first started, I was centre half.
Really?
Yeah, centre half. But always been a defender.
Yeah.
Occasionally they'd put me inside forward, but that wasn't for me.
Not for you. And so eventually you sort of moved across to the left side of defence.
Yeah.
I think we've chatted before. You're not by nature actually a left footer, are you? It's something that you've developed over time. I
must admit, although I say it myself, I worked very, very hard using this left peg.
Yeah.
And although I say it myself now, it just comes natural to me either side, and I can do it. If I was, I know I'm getting on a bit now, but put a ball down for me and ask me to hit it with either foot, you wouldn't be able to tell if I was left-footed or right-footed.
We'll get you in the garden later.
Yeah, because I worked hard on it.
Yeah.
And when I watch football today on the television, and I see good players, but they're only one-footed. And I think, well, why on earth don't you practice? And I mustn't name them because, but they stand out to me. They're all left foot and no right foot. Well,
you're limited, aren't you? Then which way you turn.
But you can't say anything about them because they're great players. So you can't say, well, you've got to start learning how to kick.
Yeah.
They're doing all right as they are.
Fair enough. So, how did Everton come about? How were you spotted?
I was spotted with Wrexham schoolboys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. A gentleman called Fred Bennett, who was the scout for Everton.
Yeah.
And I went up to Elmdon and had a trial up there on Fred's recommendation.
Yeah. And
the chappie I spoke to after the match was a chap called Harry Cook.
He was the scout, wasn't he? Chief scout.
Yeah. And asked me would I like to sign amateur forms for Everton.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, has this man got a brain? That's what I want.
Where do I sign?
That's what I want. Yeah, so that's how it all started. And then they asked me if I wanted to go onto the ground staff.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where it all started. I went on the ground staff at Everton, 1957.
So you would have been around 15 years of age?
15 years of age.
Okay.
Went on the ground staff, did 2 years on the ground staff, signed professional forms, and that's it.
So ground staff, you'd be what, literally sort of maintaining Goodison Park?
Brushing the stands, picking up anything off the pitch and, doing that. Oh, yeah.
And did you move into digs on Merseyside or did you stay here in North Wales?
Travelled every day.
By
on the train. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. And I had company because a young lad called John Watson, who was the same age as me, he was a centre half, and he signed the same time. So we travelled together on the train.
So that must have taken an hour and a half every day each way.
We used to leave Wrexham station at 7:25, and we'd get into James Street station round about 9:10.
And then up to Goodison.
And then a bus up to Goodison, and that was it.
And in those days, training was mainly at Goodison, wasn't it? Belfield was used to a small extent, but most of your time would have been at Goodison.
Yeah.
So from coming from playing sort of Wrexham schoolboys, local football, to arriving at one of the massive stadia of the top flight, what was that? What were your first impressions at Everton?
We couldn't believe it, honestly. Yeah, we thought, well, will we ever get a chance to play on this pitch here? I mean, it was so awe-inspiring. It really was.
Yeah.
But we started off with I got into the youth team at Everton, and of course the youth cup, you played all your home matches on the main ground. So that's how I started my time at Goodison.
Wow.
Was playing for the Everton youth.
Yeah. And then progressing through to the A team, which should have been the third team in those days, Lancashire League.
That's it. Yeah.
Were there other lads coming through in the same sort of cohort who went on to also get into the first team, or did most fall by the wayside?
So, it's an awful thing to say, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
There were a lad called from Wrexham, a lad called Alan Jarvis.
Yes.
He was potentially was a very good player, but he then moved from Everton. He went to Hull, and unfortunately passed away a few years ago.
Right.
Alan Tyra, do you remember Alan? Yeah. Alan was with us.
So the couple who got to the fringes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when you got there, I think Ian Buchan was the head coach of the club, wasn't he?
Yeah.
But I imagine you wouldn't have had much to do with him because you were in the lower.
That's it. Yeah. We didn't. I mean, he was sort of no matter who it was in that position at the time, you wouldn't. The position we were in, we wouldn't have a lot to do with him.
You were with the youth coaches, which would have been Stan Bentham, I take it, or Gordon Watson.
No, we had a chap called Les Shannon.
Yeah, former Burnley player.
Yeah, Les. He was good. Les was good.
Yeah.
I don't know where he went to after, but yeah. And then Stan, Gordon Watson.
Yeah. As you moved up through, progressed through.
Yeah. And then the chap who looked after us, injury-wise, Harry Cook.
Old Harry Cook.
Yeah.
Who was probably in his late 70s by that point.
He was knocking on a bit there.
And what was the treatment? Was it like people say he had like an oily rag or something? Was that what it was like?
Yeah. Oh no, it didn't call him Mr. Cook. Let's have a look.
Just rub something in.
Yeah, you'll be all right now. Broken leg.
Run it off.
But yeah, he was good.
Yeah,
he was. But I don't know what. Well, God, he was. I thought he was past retirement age.
Oh, he was. He played for Everton in the very early years of the 20th century, so he was late 70s probably. God, amazing.
He was an amazing chap, though.
Yeah.
But he must have had magic fingers.
Magic hands.
Because everything was just rubbed.
Did it work? Who knows? So we mentioned Ian Buchan, but the manager who gave you your breakthrough was Johnny Carey, who came in 1958. He made his mark at Blackburn and then came to Goodison. How did you find Carey?
I liked Johnny Carey a lot. Not because he gave me the opportunity, but he was a genuine sort of bloke, in my eyes anyway.
Yeah.
And I'd do anything for him.
Yeah.
I can't say too much about the chap that come after.
We'll talk about that later. Was Carey on the training pitch, or did he leave that to Gordon Watson and the like, or would Carey be hands-on?
You didn't see a lot of him.
Mm-hmm.
But only match days, yes, of course you did.
Yeah.
But you didn't see a lot of him training-wise. That was left to Gordon.
Okay.
But he was an Irishman, and he seemed to understand you. Right. He knew.
He empathised.
Yeah, he knew exactly what your problem was. I don't know how, but I like Johnny Carey a lot.
Some people say he's maybe too nice for his own good. Perhaps.
Could have been, yes, that could have been the problem.
Yeah.
Because you've got to have some bit of steel about you, haven't you?
You have. And there were some characters at Goodison, so probably a year after you arrived, Bobby Collins came down from Celtic.
Bobby, aye.
And then Alec Parker around the same time.
Yeah.
And then as we move into the 60s, you got your Gabriels, Roy Vernon, who we'll talk about later. But you had some characters that the manager had to
that's right.
had to manage.
That's right. I mean, Bobby Collins. I mean, he was a tremendous player. He was about 4'2". I exaggerate a bit, but I mean, he was short, but by God, he was a player.
Yeah,
he was a player. Yeah, he was
and a winner.
Good. And a winner. Yeah.
So, as I say, 1960 comes in and Everton's changing, isn't it? John Moores is now on the scene.
Oh, yeah.
The money's starting to come in. Gabriel, Vernon, Tommy Ring, these players are coming in. Did you feel that change coming in from Everton, who had been a sort of struggling team really when you first arrived at the club, to suddenly stars are arriving? Did you feel that change come across the club and the expectation that goes with it?
You could feel, I mean, because my lot, as I call them, we were only youngsters.
Yeah. And
you could feel that you were becoming a member of something big. It was going to be big. Mm-hmm. And these players proved us right, They were tremendous. But I was just trying to think of the team when I first played my first match.
In 1960. Well, let's talk about your first match. So this was September 1960.
Blackpool.
Away to Blackpool, and I think it came as a surprise to you. I think we chatted once how you found out very late in the day. Can you just take us back to that sort of the day of your debut?
I was asked, because I used to obviously travel every day back and forth from Wrexham.
Yeah.
And they said, well, would you mind staying here a bit longer, Yeah. And then they said, oh, we're going to take you to Blackpool tonight on the coach, but it's just for you to get some experience of it. And I said, yeah, okay, fine. And we get to Blackpool, get to Bloomfield Road, and they said, oh, by the way, you're playing tonight.
There's the number 3 shirt.
And Stanley Matthews is outside right.
Wow.
And I said, yeah. And I always remember a certain player said to me, oh, don't worry, kick the old so-and-so.
I mean, by then Matthews would have been in his 40s, wouldn't he?
Oh, yeah, so, that's right.
Would,
of course, Everton had not won away for a long time. And we go there and we win 4-1. Well, of course, it was all down to me, wasn't it?
Of course it was. My
my debut, and Everton get their first away win for I don't know how long, 4-1. It's got to be down to me.
You. You were the lucky mascot. Well, I've got the match report here from the Daily Post, and it says Colin Green, the 18-year-old Wrexham boy making his league debut, could not have had a stiffer test in that he was up against the great Stanley Matthews. But this boy had a fine match, and although he was often helped out of trouble by his teammates coming back to lend a hand when Matthews looked like breaking through, he stayed cool, kicked well, and made good use of his clearance. This was a first-class debut. So,
well, I had some good advice from Alec Barker.
Yeah. So Alec told you
to... Can I say it to you?
You can.
Kick the old bastard.
And you did?
Oh, I did.
Let him know you're there. So with the training, Colin, in those early days, did the young players train separately and change separately from the first team? How did it work?
When I first went there, I mean, because we were junior players, we all of us were in the away team dressing room.
Right.
And then going on a few years, when I made my debut for Everton, I was still in the away team dressing room. And then about a week later, I was asked to go into the home team dressing room, and that's where I stayed ever since then. But no, until you were a first team man,
yeah,
you were in the away team dressing room.
You kept separate.
Kept separate.
Wow. And training, am I right in saying most of the time you're at Goodison, but sometimes you get taken to Belfield for certain times? How did that work?
Well, I was mainly, what I can remember is most of our training was done at Belfield.
Okay.
And we had a coach to take us up there and then bring us back. Then obviously, showered up and away you went back home. But no, it was all done, the majority of it was done probably except a Friday. And on a Friday, we just loosened up around the pitch, and then that was it, done.
Okay.
But when I first started playing, got in the first team, we were in the away team dressing room.
Okay.
And then it was another promotion. Then if you
knew you'd made it when you got invited across.
Well, yeah, when you got to the home team dressing room, you thought, well, that's it. I'd
the
made
big boys.
It. Yeah.
And at Goodison in the 50s and early 60s, there was a training sort of ground behind the park end near the Bullens Road that is now part of the car park. Did you ever use that patch of ground?
That was just for little five-a-side matches we used to have, again, amongst ourselves. But it wasn't used a lot. But a little bit, not a lot.
And was there anything indoors at Goodison? I think I read somewhere that there was they would have medicine balls and the like hanging up in the Gladys Street stand.
Yeah, under the stand. Yeah. That was when the bad weather came. But yeah, it wasn't used a lot. I didn't use it a lot anyway.
Okay.
But I mean, all facilities were fantastic. Make your own. But it was good.
And Belfield, this was before it was redeveloped in the mid-60s. So when you were there, it was like, I think it was like there was a pavilion there, like almost like a tennis pavilion.
Yeah.
What were the facilities like when you were at Belfield? Or were you just literally outside running around and playing training matches?
There were training at Belfield. We reported, first of all, to Goodison. We'd get changed at Goodison. There'd be a coach to pick us up, to take us to Belfield, because it was a little bit, I wouldn't say sparse, that would be the wrong word, but there wasn't a lot there.
Mm-hmm.
Just 2 football pitches and get on with it.
Right.
So we were taken from Goodison to Belfield. Because, I mean, I haven't been to Belfield for, I don't know, years and years and years.
It's all gone now. It's houses.
Is it?
Yeah.
But yeah, it was, there was just, as I say, 2 football pitches there, and obviously a building to have a wash.
Yeah.
But we never used that because we always went back to Goodison.
And at Goodison, I think there was like a snooker room and the like. Did you ever use those facilities?
My claim to fame.
Okay.
You weren't allowed to enter. They had a competition there every Christmas, the snooker competition, but you weren't allowed to enter unless you were a professional. So you had to be 17. So while you were on the ground staff, you went in it. So my first year as a professional, 1959, I entered. Well, you were put in it anyway, automatically. 1959, snooker competition, winner, Colin Green. And me and snooker, wow, it's like Pavarotti doing athletics.
It was a surprise, was it?
It was. I think I played McMegan in the final.
Okay.
But two snooker tables there. We used to go there every day.
Yeah.
But I wasn't very good, but it was just luck that
you had that day. You had your day.
Yeah.
Fantastic. You mentioned McMegan now, one of the established players. Were there any sort of players that particularly sort of helped you come through? You know, the likes of Tom Jones, some of the senior players. Who did you look up to?
This is going to sound corny, but I looked up to everyone that had played in the first team at Everton. They were gods to me. They really were. There was Tommy Jones, Jimmy Tansey.
I suppose LeBone was sort of ahead of you coming through.
Brian had not just, maybe a few got into the team.
Yeah.
So he was okay. But yeah, Brian LeBone, Brian Harris. I used to give him a lift in my little A35.
Right.
I used to give him a lift into town because I was going back to the tunnel to go home, and I'd give them a lift, drop them off in town. And when Brian finished with Everton, he went down to South Wales.
Brian Harris, yes, he did. Yeah, Cardiff.
And when I'd finished football and I went on my course for veterinary stuff, I used to go down and I'd meet up with Brian because he kept a pub in Chepstow.
Yeah, just on the border.
Yeah. And I used to go and meet up with him because when he was at Everton, we were big buddies.
Okay.
Him and Brian LeBone, although they were established and I wasn't, but they were good to me.
Good.
They were.
So a week after that debut at Bloomfield Road, you make your Goodison debut, big match against Wolves.
The Wolves.
What do you remember of that?
Playing, thought, I'd had some good reports from the first match, and I thought, thought I knew it all, and come across this wing half for Wolves, and we had a bit of a bump together, and I sort of said to him, just be careful what you're doing, because I might have you. And he said, don't mess with me, son. And I said, oh God, who's this like, So I went in a bit hard to tackle him.
Yeah.
It was the worst thing I ever did because he got me back about 5 minutes later. I had to go off.
With interest, going back with it. And that's Eddie Clamp, would it be?
Eddie Clamp, yeah.
And you were only 5'8" or so, weren't you? So you were you weren't some
Oh God,
6
no.
footer, were you?
No.
Yeah.
My mouth was bigger than me.
So you were off for treatment, were you, after that?
Yeah. I was off for a couple of weeks treatment.
Wow.
But Harry Cook was good. He used to rub your legs.
Got the magic cloth on again, magic fingers.
Oh dear.
And after that, you were sort of had a bit of a run in the side, and then I think you dropped out again. You'd have been up against who? Was it sort of George Thompson,
George Thompson,
Tom Jones, people like that?
Yeah, George Thompson was the main one.
Yeah.
But George and myself got on well.
Yeah.
Got well together. But he was a good player.
Yeah, he came down from Scotland with Alec Young.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. That's right.
Probably lacked a bit of pace. Whereas, would you say you were more of a sort of quite a mobile fullback? What were your sort of attributes?
I was quick. I mean, I could do well. Not that it's anything to do with football, but I could do the 100 meters in just 10 seconds.
100 yards.
100 yards. 100 yards in them days. Yeah. 100 yards, 10 seconds.
Yeah. So speed merchant.
Yeah. Now I need a calendar.
and talking of speed, and talking of another Welshman, Roy Vernon, who was the sort of star inside forward in that team that Kerry brought in. I mean, he was a bit of a whippet, wasn't he, Roy?
Oh, Roy. Roy was the quickest thing I've seen over 10 yards. But after that, no. He wasn't a long distance man by any stretch of the imagination, but for inside the box, which is where his job was sort of done, he was brilliant. He was quick.
But got his shot away.
But no more than 10 yards.
No, but that's all he needed.
That's all he needed.
And Albert Dunlop, very agile indeed, coming away with that loose ball, trying to bounce it, but the ground here is very soft indeed. Going to make conditions a little difficult. And there's Vernon coming through now. Vernon drives it. It's going to be a goal. It's there. "25 seconds of play only, and it's Roy Vernon, the Everton inside left, who puts Everton 1 goal up in this really vital match. Everton lying third in the First Division, Sheffield Wednesday lying second, and both equal on points. Only goal average separates them, and it's Everton who go into the lead.
And so Roy was a character, obviously a chain smoker, wasn't he?
Ooh. Yes, he was. He liked the cigarettes. He did like the cigarettes, but there we are. He did his job in the box.
Did it very well. Yeah. And Alec Young obviously was his partner. What were your thoughts on Alex?
Alec Young was a perfection of Roy Vernon. No, he was a good centre forward. Was Alec Young?
Yeah,
he was. He was good.
They dovetailed beautifully, the two of them.
Oh yeah. And they were big pals off the pitch as well.
Yeah, they were. Yeah.
They were really good.
So 6 months or so after your debut under Johnny Carey up at Blackpool, Johnny Carey infamously got the taxi, got given the boot by John Moores, who was a very ambitious chairman.
Yeah.
And then came Harry Catterick from Sheffield Wednesday. And probably chalk and cheese in terms of approach. What difference was there with Harry in terms of personality and what he expected from the players?
I must be very careful here because I can say it now, but I wasn't a big fan of Harry Catterick.
Yeah.
He had his favourites, and by God, you knew it. You could tell.
Right.
You could tell. So I mean, I didn't have a lot of time for him.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's an awful thing to say, but still, it's.
Some players get on with some managers and vice versa.
That's right. I think why I took a shine to Johnny Carey as well, but he was good, but because he was a good player as well.
He'd been a great player, hadn't he, Carey?
Yeah. But Harry Castrick wasn't a great player, shall we say. But on the inside, looking at him, who people on the outside didn't know, you'd swear he was like the world's best player that ever was.
Right.
But it's good because it, gives players a bit of confidence. But he wasn't for me.
It wasn't for you. And was it a different regime? Was it a lot sort of harder training? Was it, I suppose, sort of like the expectation that he had and the club had at that time?
No, the training wasn't much different to what we were always doing, because it's the old saying: if it's working, don't change it.
And your sort of goodness and exit came about at the tail end of 1962, so in that championship winning season that Everton had. But you were out of the team, and I think a certain reserve goalkeeper may have had a bit of a role in you sort of exiting by getting a story into the newspapers about you being out of the team. What can you tell us about
Mr. Dunlop?
Mr. Dunlop, yes. Albert.
Yes, he... A likeable rogue was Albert, but he was. I obviously got, let's say, chucked out of the first team because I wasn't doing what the manager wanted, So enemy came to me. Albert came to me and said, "Oh, yeah, you're not in the team." I said, no. When the team went up, you're not in the team. I said, no. He said, I'll help you there. And the next thing, I'm called up to the manager's office because there's a big article in the paper saying that I want to leave Everton. And Albert had put it in the...
Yeah, he was impressed. And he'd be on a retainer with the local journalist. Yeah.
Got a few bob for that. Oh dear, yeah, but... That's what he was, a likeable rogue.
A wide boy, yeah.
But he was a rogue.
So Harry had you in the office and was sort of saying, what's all this about?
Yeah. I said, well, you must know him. He said, I want you to tell me. And I said, I got nothing to tell you. He said, I'm telling you for the last time. Tell me what happened. Otherwise, you're out. And I said, nothing happened. So he said, okay, off you pop. And the next thing I know, Birmingham are after me.
Yeah, you're on the transfer list and Birmingham are in for you. And how did you find out that it was Gil Merritt, wasn't it, the Birmingham manager back then? How did you find out that Birmingham were in for you?
Well, the lad who I played with in Wrexham schoolboys, and lived in the next village to me in Thai, was Terry Hennessy.
Oh, Welsh international, yeah.
And Terry was at Birmingham, and he came and had a word with Gil, and
the rest is
should
history.
I say this, but Terry and Gil came up to our house in Brymbo. Had a chat to me, and they said, okay. So I went up. I was in the Welsh under 23s. We were playing Scotland in Aberdeen, and we went up, played the match. On the way back the next day, somebody said, hey, there's an article in the paper saying that you're going to Birmingham. I said, oh, I didn't know anything about it. And Gil came up to our house and had a chat with me. And then I went down to Birmingham and signed for him.
The deal was done, I think, £12,000, which was a fair fee in those days. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And that was it. And obviously Everton went on to win the title that season.
Yeah,
did any Any regrets at the time of you moving on, or was it just probably the right thing for you?
Well, I didn't want to leave Everton. I didn't want to leave them, no. But what do? The manager says you're off. Yeah. I don't want you.
Yeah, if your face doesn't fit anymore.
That's right. So I went and got more Welsh caps with playing with Birmingham, and then. But no. Everton is my team.
Still your team, yeah. Good.
Yeah.
You talked about Wales then. Let's just chat a little bit about your Welsh career, international career. So I think you debuted in 1965, and you had some big matches early in your career. I think your debut was against Italy and Florence.
I mean,
that's quite some place to.
Aye, yes.
Do you remember that sort of?
I don't remember a lot of it. I remember the score. We got hammered 4-1, I think. No, in them days, there was a bit of rivalry, North Wales and South Wales.
Right.
And the North Walians didn't get on with the South Walians, so it wasn't a very good atmosphere there.
Oh, I see.
No, but a lot of the players would say, "Oh, you're wrong," but there was.
So you found it.
Not all of them, but there were certain players, and the same up here, certain players from South Wales who did not want to mix with you.
And vice versa, yeah. But you'd have had, was Cliff Jones around at that point, and Ivor Church, were they still on the scene?
Yep.
And what were they like as players?
I played only a couple of games with Ivor and Cliffy.
Yeah.
John Charles.
The great John Charles.
Played with John Charles.
Wow.
That shows how old they are.
Obviously, Roy Vernon was around there as well. Your Everton teammate. Yeah.
Played with Roy.
What was Charles? He would have been coming towards the end of his career at that
coming
point.
To the end.
But can you still see?
He always called me Huey.
Huey.
Huey Green.
Oh, Huey Green. Opportunity knocks.
He couldn't remember names, so he could say Green. Huey. He called me Huey. But yeah, no, there was. They went. We went. Let's say we went. I didn't play fantastic amount of times, but the atmosphere there was absolutely brilliant with the Welsh team.
Right.
But they couldn't win.
No.
Just couldn't win.
You had some good players, but probably not enough good players.
Yeah. That's right. But the atmosphere was fantastic.
Wales kick off, play right to left and proceed to thrill 30,000 at Ninian Park by upsetting form forecasts and showing white-shirted England that the Welsh on their own soil are, well, see for yourself. Gary Sprake keeps goal in international style. Wales on the attack now, with Gilbert Rees soon giving Springett some work to do. And it's bad luck when a Wyn Davies header hits the bar. That English match winner, Jimmy Greaves, can only earn a corner this time. In goes the ball, and in the Welsh goal there are some anxious moments. No goals at half-time. If England are going to look like World Cup hopes, they've got to liven up. In goal, there's nothing but praise for Gary Sprake. No wonder the Welsh fans are hoping more and more optimistically for a Welsh win. English outside left Connelly fails to pierce the defence. Fortunately for England, Springett is in top form. Trying to encourage the English forwards, right back George Cohen goes up to try his luck. When Jimmy Greaves might have scored, he heads against the bar. It's a goalless draw, with Wales clearly the heroes of the day, living up to Ninian Park tradition.
I think your second cap was a World Cup qualifier in Moscow.
That's it.
I mean, that must have been, back then in the days of the Iron Curtain, that must have been quite a trip.
Yeah. Oh, we went. John Charles was on that trip, and I remember we were getting a taxi down into town for something, and he had, I don't know if they were sweets or what they were, bags of them. I mean, what? You don't eat all them, you know. You don't eat them. He's give them to the taxi driver. Didn't pay anything.
It's
paying them in sweets.
Currency.
Oh, currency. Dear me. But John. He was a. At times you think, well, is he? Because as a player, oh my goodness gracious me, absolutely fantastic.
Mm.
But as a person, you think.
not always the sharpest.
Not the sharpest knife in the box. Okay. But what a player.
Absolutely, Colossus.
Yeah.
Already out of the running for the World Cup, Wales meet a team who've gained a place in the finals. Wales kick off. Russia, all in white, unbeaten in the World Cup qualifying rounds, with a reputation which seemed unassailable, but that recent no-goal draw with England brought Wales a lot of prestige too.
Better work by him. Reeves the outside right. Watch Wyn Davies. And a chance and a great save. A chance there falling to Vernon. Great save by Kavashvili.
It took Russia 16 minutes to open the scoring through Banishevsky.
No, a direct free kick, so he did regard it as a foul, and it's going to be taken by number 6, Hull. And a goal! Scored by Vernon. Up goes Davis. A goal, no.
So it's 1-1 at half-time. Wales began the second half in overdrive. Barry Hole passes out to the wing. Rodriguez and Ron Rees were going too fast for it, but Rees recovers in time, takes it on, and passes to Colin Green. But his sights are too high. Now a pass to Meshki, the start of a sequence which illustrates how determined the Welsh were to hold their opponents. Barry Hole again, and this time the Welsh attack almost has the Russian goalie beaten.
Hole. Ivor Allchurch, a great goal.
Then the fantastic climax as Ivor Allchurch slams in the winning goal. A real sizzler.
And I think in '66 you went over to Brazil with the Welsh team.
Yeah.
So you'd have been playing in Rio, Belo Horizonte. I mean,
Yeah.
so were you up against the likes of what, Garincha?
Garincha.
I mean, was he up against you?
Yes, I can tell you how many stitches he had in number 7 on his back.
Okay.
I saw of it.
They were that good.
Yeah. But, I mean, I remember saying to Terry Ellis as we were walking out on the pitch, I said, oh, God. I said, look at the gaps. There's hardly anybody here. He said, what do you expect? He said, because it was just coming up to the 66 World Cup over here. He said, they're all saving their money to go to England for the World Cup. And God, there was gaps everywhere. 60,000.
Wow.
So I don't know what the Maracana holds.
It was, 100,000 up, wasn't it? Maybe more. Yeah.
Did you hear me? It's fantastic. The atmosphere.
Yeah, amazing place to go.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Back to club football then. Birmingham City. Jimmy Harris, your old Everton colleague, he would have been there, wouldn't he?
Yeah, Jim.
Yeah, he was a quick.
Jim was
quick player.
Jim was fast. Yeah. Jim was very quick, and we got on. We got on great at Everton. No, we got on great at Birmingham as well.
Yeah, dry sense of humour.
Yeah. And then we used to meet up at the Everton Christmas.
Yeah, the former players' dinners.
Yeah. And then of course he passed away. Yeah. And Birmingham, I mean, you had good times. You won the League Cup, beat Villa, beat your local rivals in your first season there. Loved that.
Yeah.
Beating the Villa.
And that led you into European football after that?
No, it didn't.
No, not in those days.
No, we didn't. No. We didn't. I didn't play any European stuff with Birmingham.
Right.
No.
So just league football, cup football.
Yeah.
And later on, Fred Pickering, who had been at Everton, Fred came along.
Yeah.
Big number 9.
Aye, Fred.
He had a character as well.
Yeah, good pals with Fred.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Another one you'd have seen later on at the former players, Everton former players dinners. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. We always meet up. Once a year at the Everton dues.
Yeah.
And have a good chinwag there. But of course, poor old Fred's gone now.
Yeah, Fred's gone as well, I'm afraid. Yeah. You're outliving them all.
Don't say that.
Keep going. And there was a young striker coming through probably in the later period of your time at Birmingham who ended up at Everton in the 70s. That was Bob Latchford.
Bob.
What was Bob like as a young player coming through?
Potentially, you could see he was going to be.
Yeah. He had it. He had the potential.
Yeah. You could tell. And his brother Dave was the goalkeeper.
Yes.
At Birmingham.
Yeah, that's right.
Brother Dave Latchford. But Bob was very good.
You could see he was destined for great things. Yeah.
I'm surprised you didn't get more England caps.
In that period, it's one of those, if you're face fitted.
Yeah. That's right.
And so I think in all you had probably 9 years or so at Birmingham. Towards the end, you had a brief spell back near home at Wrexham, didn't you, on loan?
Yeah.
Handful of games. That must have been nice to at least represent your hometown club.
Come back to Wrexham.
Yeah.
It was good. It was good, but I mean, I don't remember very many Wrexham players. I remember Ardwan, obviously. Ardwan Griffiths.
Yeah.
But no, it was all right. It was okay. I wasn't here long.
No, just a month or two, wasn't it?
Only a month. Month's loan I was on.
You can say you played for your local club at least.
That's it, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then sort of Birmingham let you go, and I think you played non-league, didn't you? Tamworth, was it?
Tamworth.
Yeah.
Tamworth was I only stayed a season there. I was getting fed up then.
And then back, I think you were at Rill for a few games.
Oh, Rill.
Back home.
Yeah. Back home. And then that was it, finished.
That was it with football. And sort of your post-football life has been what? What's been your sort of career since you hung up the boots?
I went on a veterinary drug course.
Right, that's a change.
Yeah, and if I'd have had the brains, I wanted to be a vet, but of course you don't get many thick vets, do you? But I went on this course down to Cambridge, and then joined a company called Intervet. And I was with them for nearly 29 years.
Right.
Loved every second of it.
Great.
Nearly as much as my time at Everton.
Nearly.
Nearly.
Not quite.
Nearly, but not quite. But I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Well, that's good.
And I finished 20 years ago now.
Wow. Okay.
Retired 20 years ago.
And you've talked about Everton. Have you had much chance over the years to go back and watch the occasional game back at Goodison?
I've watched the occasional game. One of my son's father-in-law, who lives just near Mould, got a business. He was a staunch Evertonian, and he passed away. And we went. He was an Everton. He was a season ticket holder at Everton, and we went a couple of times. Took his wife and Battle, my wife, and we go to Goodison, watch the matches, and she thoroughly enjoyed it. My mate's wife.
Yes.
And we used to go there, and then we go back. Except that this last year must have been because of the COVID. There wasn't a former players Christmas.
Right. Okay.
Oh, that's the first one we've missed.
Hopefully this coming Christmas there'll be another one.
But we go every year.
Good. And what, all these years on, so 1957 when you joined, what does Everton mean to you now, looking back? Is it
Can
still...
I be honest with you?
Of course.
Means the world. Means the world to me. Everton.
Yeah.
I got a neighbour there who's a staunch Liverpool supporter. We do speak now and again. But with Everton in the position they are in, and the position that he's in, I mean, keep out of his way.
Yeah, keep a low profile at the moment.
Keep out of his way. Yeah. No, Everton is everything to me.
That's great. And obviously Everton will be moving from Goodison Park. How do you feel about that, with the move to the new stadium?
I feel sad in a way, because Goodison is the home. And with no disrespect, but I know it's only one season, but the way they've played this season, they'll never get anybody to fill the bloody place. But let's hope it changes and it's packed out every other week.
Yeah,
it would be nice. But it's Goodison for me.
Yeah, well, hopefully you get to Goodison before we leave, and then hopefully we see you down at the new stadium at Bramley Moor Dock as well. And
absolutely,
that'd be lovely to see you there.
Yeah.
Well, Colin, thank you so much for your time. It's been wonderful reliving
No problem.
those football years with you.
My pleasure.
Thank you.